Our eyes are on the tropics. It is that time of year, Monday, June 19th, 19 days in to hurricane season.
So frustrating, isn't it?
What could ultimately become Brett? The name is Brett.
Oh, we laughed and laughed and laughed. And the best part is it's Brett with only one T.
One T. That's
because my Brett is a Brett with only one T.
Is a one T.
So anyway, named after Brett Maverick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now is the time to prepare and get ready while there is still water. You know, water doesn't go bad. You can put it in. You can get it now. Put it in the laundry room.
Yep.
Just in case. Just start to get those things ready. Well, Mary Laurent, I can imagine, is a busy little bee getting ready with things on her end with SLEMCO, of course, as we look at this. Now, no indication of magnitude or how big or devastating this could be at this point, but we do have to be careful. Good morning, Mary. How are you?
Good morning. How are y'all?
We can't complain.
Well, I mean, we could, but then...
We could.
Yeah.
You know.
We live in the greatest place in the country. Some would argue the world. But we have to deal with storms, and it's something you have to deal with as well.
Correct. That is correct.
So tell me what kind of preparation is going on right now. Is it like a 24-hour clock for you guys, or what happens during these early hours, if you will?
Well, what happens for us is that very far in advance, we have an emergency restoration plan that we have to put into place and double-check and reconfirm every year, whether it's to get more poles or to make sure all the fleet is correct and taken care of and beefed up. So we do that on an ongoing basis. So by the time that we have a storm actually enter a Gulf, and we don't know at this point if it's what it's going to do, how strong it's going to be, but we have a constant plan in place that if something happens, no matter what it is, we can mobilize and we can do that. So we have a plan to bring extra contractors in. We have a plan to bring extra poles in, extra materials in, all that kind of stuff, just as we have a plan to take care, to house and feed and take care of all the people that come in to help us.
Okay. Well, yeah, that makes sense, too, because if you don't have that ready to go, then that would create a little bit of a problem.
Absolutely. So it's all done ahead of time. So today it'll be a matter of watching and seeing what's going on, making sure everybody knows that there's a system in the Gulf, which, for us, we kind of have been looking at this the last couple of days. I don't think you work for an electric company anywhere and not watch the Gulf if you live in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And you kind of know it's coming and, we're going to have one heck of a week, but we're going to be there. The guys are going to be out there. Normally what happens if a storm comes through our system, we wait till the winds die down till it's safe enough for the trucks to get on the road, but we don't wait for everything to stop.
Right.
As soon as it's safe for the men to be out in the field, they begin working. And they begin restoring power. It looks like we're going to have a lot of water with this event, from what the meteorologists are telling us. So if that's the case, if we cannot get into an area, of course we can't get into an area. But typically, as long as we can get water no higher than midway on the tires, we get the trucks in there.
So let me ask you this: people always want to know, how come you can't come and do my house first? So
that's an excellent question.
How does it work?
Excellent question. So what happens is typically in a major hurricane, and we don't know if this is going to be a major hurricane or not, I want to stress that, but in any kind of major storm, what happens is, first of all, the substations are going to go down. And so that affects, of course, the most people. And in addition to that, you'll have trees that are falling. You'll have, water that's rising. You'll have branches that are falling. So you always start where the most people are going to be restored the fastest. So when you have a substation that's down, and in some cases in Lilly, we had every substation down and not 1 meter turning. You start with the substations. You get the substations back on first. And that means every feeder on every substation, they're going to work on that first. Because if you don't have any damage at your home, once the electricity is back at the substation and being distributed again, if you don't have damage, you come back on. And that will be the vast majority of people. However, the bad news is after that, if you don't come on when a substation comes on or when your feeder comes on, then it's probably going to be a good bit of time before you come back on typically. Now, you could be one of the first houses we work on, or you could be one of the last. It just depends where the damage is the most and where the field crews think they can get the most people on the quickest. Once, it's kind of like building a house. It looks like it's done all real quick, but then the finishing work takes forever. It's the same thing. You have to go house to house to house.
Oh.
So once you get those feeders back on, and then you start working on the different areas throughout there, you have trees to cut down, you have houses that have had the service entrance ripped off the houses. So there's even some houses we can't restore power back on if they're damaged too much because they have to repair things before we can put them back on.
Yeah.
So if you come on when the feeders come on, you're in good shape. If not, it's going to be a while.
So, people have asked us this question, like having a generator versus not having a generator and just waiting it out and those types of things. Do you have a particular thought on that?
Well, around here, it appears that just about everybody, for better or for worse, has a generator. Mm-hmm. And if you use them properly, they're wonderful tools to have. The important thing is that you plug things into these portable generators. You have to plug things into them. You don't ever want to wire it, especially yourself, to run your whole house. Some people like to, and I don't know how to do it, but some people know how to do that, and it's very dangerous because what happens is typically you backfeed the line, and if you have a lineman working in the area, he can be injured or killed. So if you do that without the proper precautions, meaning if you have an electrician come in and you have a large generator and he has installed what's called a double throw switch so that you can power your home, but you can also prevent the power from getting back on the line, then you're in good shape. But if you have one of these little generators that we all have, I have one in my garage that I'm going to get my son to take care of today. If you use those kind, you have to make sure that you plug your refrigerator or your CPAP or whatever into the generator.
Okay.
The other thing, having said that, you don't want to run your generator in your garage because you don't want it stolen because there have been cases of carbon monoxide poisoning. Yeah. You also don't want to put your generator in the house. We have seen that as well. Seems like that would be something that people would commonsensically say, I'm not going to do, but sometimes that does happen. So you want to make sure that you place them in well-ventilated areas. You plug your appliances into the generator. You do not hook up the whole house. And and this is the most important thing, if you have medical needs, oxygen, CPAP machine, insulin, medication that has to be distributed to you through some sort of pump that needs electricity to run. If you don't have a generator and adequate fuel, you need to make a plan to go to a shelter or to go to a friend's home or a family member's home north of here if the storm is projected to hit here, whether it's a little storm or a big storm. If you have medical needs, you have got to attend to your care because if you don't come back on when the feeder comes on, it could be a while.
Yeah.
After Lily, we got everybody back on in 7 days. After Rita, the same thing. But that's a long time for people, who have become so accustomed to electricity. And it's really a necessity now. It's not a luxury.
That's right. And it is. So people, you have to think about your own plan and what it's going to be. Mary Laurent with SLEMCO, thank you so much. This is very valuable information.
You are so welcome. Anytime.